Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia here, and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup. Win conditions, Shanghai Dragons edition. So, a few videos ago when we covered the Gladiators, I said they had possibly the most difficult stage out of them all. Well, there is one team that can contest that crown, and that is the Shanghai Dragons. Shanghai Dragons are currently one of those teams on the outside looking in for those main playoff spots. They're in 8th currently, on a 12-9 record. They're equal with Seoul, London and Philadelphia, but they have an inferior map differential to London and Seoul. And quite massively to Seoul as well, by the way. Now, Shanghai, they're quite capable of getting a playoff spot. That's really, I want to put that out there. But the thing is, they've got a difficult stage, and I mean difficult. So, week 1 of stage 4 for Shanghai looks a bit like this. Vancouver Titans and the Seoul Dynasty. Oh boy. Now, how would I approach this if I was Shanghai? I would put most of my prep into the Seoul game. Make sure you win that Seoul game. That is a game you must win. If you lose to Vancouver, Sam Ferrian. But you must win that Seoul game. That is crucial. That is so crucial. If you lose to Seoul and lose to Vancouver, I think that puts you out immediately. That puts you into the play-ins, in my opinion. So, week 1 is pretty big for Shanghai. They have to beat Seoul. Let's forget about Vancouver Titans. But then you go into week 2, they have the Toronto Defiant. This is a breather for Shanghai. They have to 4-0 that. That has to be a big win. Has to be a big win for Shanghai, that one. And I think it will be. I think Toronto have come of age a little bit too late in the season. Week 3 then turns it on its head, because then the Shanghai Dragons will have to play the San Francisco Shock. Oh no. Shanghai put up a good display against Shock in the playoffs. But I think it was the Stage 2 playoffs, and it's all very well saying that, but I still think Shock will come out on top. And this is where it causes an issue. This is where it causes an issue when you've got to play both Vancouver and Shock in the same stage. It's really difficult for Shanghai, because then you're on 2 losses already. London Spitfire are probably not going to have that many losses. Are Hangzhou? I don't know. Then you go into week 4, they play the Seoul Dynasty again, and the Paris Eternal. They must go 2-0 that week. They cannot drop a game that week. They cannot. They must go 2-0. They must beat both of those teams. So they have to beat Seoul twice this stage. They have to beat Paris. They have to beat Toronto. Then you go into the Kit Kat rivalry weekend in week 5, and they have to play Hangzhou Spark. So they have to play Vancouver, San Francisco and Hangzhou all in one stage. Oh, that's difficult. Oh, that's difficult for Shanghai, that one. Now, to get into the playoffs, they have to beat Hangzhou. They have to beat either Hangzhou, San Francisco Shock, or the Vancouver Titans. They have to beat one of those 3. And I don't see that happening. Unless Hangzhou have difficulty adapting to a 2-2 meta. Which I think Shanghai might be slightly more prepped for. In that case, Shanghai could get a surprise win over Hangzhou. But it's unlikely when you look at the current way and form of teams. I think it's unlikely. Out of the 3 teams that have got the most likelihood of getting into the main playoff places, that are outside of them right now, so that's London, Shanghai and Philadelphia, the Shanghai Dragons look like they're going to have the most difficult path. And that is really unfortunate. That is really unfortunate for that team. I would have loved to see the redemption arc of the Shanghai Dragons take them to an automatic playoff spot. And it really could. It really still could. but it'll have to be an incredibly clutch stage from Shanghai. Incredibly clutch. They all have to play the best Overwatch they've played in the league. Ever. To get through there. I think. Because I think the most realistic thing for Shanghai right now is a 4-3 this stage. This stage 4. So that is not probably going to do their season standings enough to get them into the automatic playoffs. Going into the play-ins, if that happens, I think they're in a pretty good place. Like, I think they're better than the lower half of the play-ins, and I think they'll beat those teams quite easily. Then you've got to look at the teams they might have to compete against. London, Seoul, Gladiators, Fusion, Spark. The only team I think Shanghai can't beat on paper right now are Spark. They've already beaten Spitfire this season, I believe, in Stage 1. So, it's a difficult looking stage for the Dragons. But it's doable. It's very doable, but it's difficult. And the Shanghai Dragons will really need to step up and show us what they're made of in Stage 4 if they want to make it into an automatic place. But whatever the outcome, right, you have to say it's been a fantastic season for the Dragons. You have to say that. The redemption is complete in my opinion, no matter what happens. And it's just a phenomenally better team than what we saw last season. And compare that to the likes of the Florida Mayhem, at least they've made progress. Which Florida really haven't. Which were the other team that were down there last season. So, I think Shanghai are in a decent place. I just think the fixture list has cucked them slightly. It's going to be difficult for Shanghai to make it, but I think it's still possible. They have to go clutch in Stage 4, but we will see what happens, especially with a possible meta change. We don't know for sure. It's almost like predicting a new season when it comes to a meta change as big as what could be happening. So, we have no idea, really, what these teams will put out, and because there's so many of them playing each other, anything can happen. Anything can happen. But, those were your win conditions for the Shanghai Dragons. Next up is the Philadelphia Fusion, the last of the chasing pack for the overall the automatic playoffs. Philadelphia might be a sunny side for the Philadelphia Fusion right now, but we'll leave that until the next one. For now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.